The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. Today is our last live show of 2014. We've got a big show for you. So excited. We're going to do something we've never done before on the show this morning. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. It's very exciting. You're going to love it. I promise you. So we want to start out the show by wishing you all very happy holidays and a happy new year. Whether you are celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah, you're celebrating Kwanzaa or Ramadan or any other holiday that I'm not aware of, we want to wish you the happiest and safest and peacefulest of holidays. And we're going to be talking about some of that with us on the show today. I'll get to all of that in a second. But I like to start out, today's the last day of the Festival of Toys. I'm going to try not to get emotional and verklempt here, but I want to start out by just saying thank you, all of you, for participating in our Festival of Toys and thanking all of our companies who participated. We had thousands of dollars worth of toys that we were able to appropriate, and there's still some stuff that's being shipped out today. And I want to tell all of you who won a toy, how thrilled we are to be able to get that to you, and we want to thank the companies that participated with us. For some of you that are getting toys, I don't know that they're going to get to you by the 25th or by the last day of Hanukkah, but we hope that you'll enjoy them when they do get there. These are hand-picked toys that we think are pretty incredible for our kids on the autism spectrum. I just want to say that I've talked a little bit before about one particular holiday after autism came to live at our house where I just didn't know if I was going to be able to get it all together, get a toy for my child, be able to get food on the table for Christmas dinner, and to be able to pay for my son's medicine for his probiotic. And we had people that helped us, and it made such a difference, such a difference. So if having that toy that comes from us can help you at all, then I'm deeply grateful that we have the opportunity to do that. And again, thank all of those companies who participated to make that happen. What a lovely, lovely thing. It looks a lot less. It looks like the elf room after the holidays in my office right now. But yesterday we were in high elf mode. Kelby Wood and I. It was quite humbling. But we got a lot of boxes out yesterday, and they're winging their way to you as we speak. In any case, we have one last thing, but it's not something that gets snail mailed. It is something that gets emailed. Our toy of the entire day today. I still have a couple more of the Camp Discovery Pro version for a couple of lucky people out there. This is when you get the whole thing with all of the lessons. You don't ever have to buy another thing, and your child can play Camp Discovery on their iPad. And you talk about extending your therapy, being able to, once the therapist is there and they're doing their paperwork or they're out the door and you need to get a meal on the table or you need to deal with another sibling. And so often we'll give the tablet to the child and say, play, because we need to have that time that we know that they're occupied. But if we could supercharge that time and continue the therapy through that time and do it in a sneaky way where the kids don't know, then wouldn't that be the best thing? And that's exactly what Camp Discovery does. It works on all the same things that you're working with, especially with younger kids. Those early building language skills. Oh my goodness, you guys. all in Camp Discovery, and it's an cute, fun, interactive app. They think they're playing a game, and they are. It just happens to be a game where they're learning exemplars that help them in life, which we just love. By the way, Camp Discovery is linked to skills. So if you're a skills user, there's a place on Camp Discovery where you can enter your skills account, and it will take data on what your child is doing and enter it into your skills account. It's just kind of fabulous. We didn't have that when we were doing our early intervention. If we had, I would have been all over this like white on cheese. Okay, so if you would like, I still have, I think, 2 more of them. So let me know. The way you enter, make sure that you're signed up on our email list, and then email me personally at s.penrod@autism-live.com. The great thing about this is then for our winners of the appropriate responses, I'll be able to email you the code, and you'll definitely have it downloaded in time for a holiday event. All right? It's a deal. Okay, moving right along. We at this show, we are interactive. That is our watchword. We want you to participate with us. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's going on with you. We want you to be a part of the conversation. So Kelby's going to cycle through some of the different ways that you can get a hold of us here, some of the different ways you can watch the show. I will remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. So much to do when you go there. I don't have the cookie recipes up yet, but it is my goal that I am going to have them up before tomorrow is over. In any case, we want you to participate. We want you to be a part of the conversation. So do that. And you can... also on the live feature, I'm all discombobulated today. I got so many things to think about. On the live feature, on the home page, you can put your cursor in the box that says your question. Start typing, hit enter, and it shows up here on my screen because I've got some guests for you today that I know that you're going to want to talk to. We encourage you to do that. It's totally free. It's totally anonymous. There is no login. There's no password. There's no credit card, nothing. You just type in, hit enter, and it shows up here. And I encourage you to write your questions in early because it does take a couple of minutes to go up to the satellite and back down. And I don't want you to miss having an opportunity to talk to our experts. So the other thing that I like to remind you at the start of the show is that while we do have many experts on the show, I'm just not one of them. I'm holding down the fort, keeping the dialogue going, but an expert I'm not. I'm a mom, I'm a former teacher, and my son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. We're coming up on the anniversary of that because he's 11.5 now, and we got the best of help, and it meant everything. It just meant everything. And I always say to people, 2 things that along the way, one parent in particular, one couple who were parents on the autism spectrum took the time to sit me down and tell me what I needed to know so that I could not have to reinvent the wheel and that I could jumpstart and get started on things. And they let me call them to say, I don't know what to do about this. What do you do about this? And that was so invaluable, getting that information from somebody so I didn't have to start from point A. I could start at J, right? It saved us so much time, and time is everything. So I said to them, what can we do to repay you? And they said, you pay it forward, pay it forward. So I love being here and having an opportunity to be with you on this journey, whether you're a parent, teacher, practitioner, or you yourself are on the spectrum. I want to help you to not have to start at point A. That's really what this is all about. We hold hands, we do this together. I always say, si se puede. We can do this, but we have to be together, right? So lean into us, ask us for the things that you want to do, but know that I'm not an expert, but I can hook you up with the experts. That's what I want to do for you. And we made a bargain in our household way back when. Nancy Allspot Jackson, who co-hosts 1 Hour here with me, she calls it the kitchen floor club. That moment when you're on your kitchen floor and you think, boy, this is it. I don't know what I'm going to do. What will become of us, right? Not to get too melodramatic. Oh, what will become of us? But sometimes you get to that moment where you go, I don't know what's going to happen. And Nancy calls that the kitchen floor club, when we're on our knees on the kitchen floor and you pray to whoever you believe in and say, help me, and you make that bargain about help me to help my child. And our bargain in our house was help us to help our child, and then we will do whatever we can to help somebody down the road. So know that that's really serious with me, and lean in. lean in, ask us for what you need. We'll do everything that we can to help you on this journey. That's what the deal is here, and we hope that you'll participate with us. Even over the break, we're not going to be back live on the air until January 7th, but I'll still be on Facebook and checking out what's happening on Facebook, and I'm going to play with Twitter a little bit more, and Pinterest. You know, I'm all about Pinterest right now, so I'm going to be doing some more stuff on Pinterest over the break as well, because I just can't stop. I will be taking some downtime, but I can't stop. All right, that having been said, we like to start every morning with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym, and we try to figure out what are they talking about? What does this have to do with us? And is this a useful information? You know, sometimes people talk about things and I go, and what exactly does that do for me today? I need to know because I'm busy. So we try to pick jargon terms that have a meaning for your individual day. So today's jargon is expressive language. All right, what are we talking about? Let's take a look at our actual definition. Expressive language, the production of language, including speech, signing, and or gestures for communication. So if you stop and think about this, we want to give everyone, we always talk about functional communication skills, which is not necessarily limited to speech. We want for every individual to be able to communicate their needs, and so we include speech, signing, and or gestures. Let's take a look at our watered down working definition. Expressive language, the child or individual's ability to communicate their needs. I like to remember it because I'm, visual. So we talked the other day about receptive language, and I think of that as what comes in, what we're receiving, receptive, right? Expressive is what goes out, what we're sending out towards another person or to a group of people. So are we able to communicate our needs to somebody else, and are we able to take in information? So that's receptive and expressive. On the expressive side, I'll be really honest with you, it's sometimes more noticeable, so we put more attention to it. If we see that a child isn't speaking or is not communicating their needs, it's an immediate thing, right? It's, we talk about, oh, your kitchen's on fire. When we don't have expressive language, it tends to be the thing that we notice first. A lot of times people don't notice where their child's or individual that they're working with, where the receptive language is. And I had said to all of you on Tuesday, I think it's key to understand the difference between these two things and know exactly where you are in space. And if you're working with an individual who's on the autism spectrum, it's key to know where they are, what the balance is. We talked a little bit on Tuesday about, somebody can have very low receptive language and very high expressive language, and how that's going to manifest itself. We see sometimes that we have kids who will monologue. They're quite capable of expressing themselves, but they can't take in information to get a conversation going, right? What about if there's the flip? And this happens a lot in autism. We have kids who have very low expressive language. They're not able to communicate their needs, but they're hearing everything. And often people don't understand in the world around them that they're hearing it and taking information in. That's when we get individuals like Carly Fleischman, who didn't communicate at all until she was around 13 years old, and then wrote. Her parents didn't even know that she understood language enough to type. She took a computer that was sitting next to her that somebody else was working on and wrote, "Help, my teeth hurt." What a happy and joyous moment to break through and understand that Carly was getting all that information, but a devastating moment for her parents too, to realize all this time she's been taking in information. It's one of the reasons why we say we have to presume intelligence. So often when someone doesn't have high expressive language, the world around will make the assumption, oh, that person's checked out, they're not paying attention, they don't care, they're not in our world. That isn't always the case. It's really important to know where an individual is so that you can play to their strengths and build upon their weaknesses. understand what expressive language is, because it's something we absolutely want to strengthen in our kids with autism, but also get a beat on where they are receptively. And a quick, easy way, well, I won't say quick, but a simple way that you can do it yourself without having to go and get an expert is by answering all the questions in the assessment portion of skills. Once you do that, it gives you a graph that shows you exactly where the individual's receptive skills are and where they should be for that age range that they are in. It shows you, okay, this is how far away we are from where we need to be. In some cases, you find, oh, my child has a strength here that's stronger than the typical for somebody this age. But then you will see often in the other one that there is a deficit, and then you build upon that by using the strength in the other one. Expressive and receptive language, really important when we're working with individuals on the autism spectrum. Okay, we always have a question for you. Our question of the day for our last show of the year is, who would you like to thank? And I'm just going to cry because I have so many people on my list to thank. I want to thank all of you for being a part of this show, for being with us, for sticking with us. We always refer to ourselves as a little show that could. I know that sometimes you're too busy to be here, and we never intend for somebody to see every single minute of everything that we do, because your life is busy. But for those of you who have stuck with us, who ask the questions, you up the level of our game and make it possible for other people to learn. We are all in this together, and I thank you so much. And I have to say, I have to thank both Emily Goodwin, who started this journey with me, but Kelby Wood for picking up the baton and running with it and making so many things so much better here at Autism Live. He has been a gift to us this year. And I would be remiss if I didn't stop and take a moment to thank all the individuals at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders for the work that they do. I see the work that they do behind the scenes. You guys have no idea how hard they work. And these are the same people who gave me back my child. So have to do a big thanks to them. And last but certainly not least, I gotta thank my husband and my son, because these are the people that I walk the autism journey with every day. And I couldn't be luckier to be walking it with these two gentlemen, my son and my husband, who have wonderful senses of humor. And I'll tell you honestly, there were years ago when if somebody had said to me, wait, I can change this for you and we can rearrange this and you won't have this A word in your life. I think in that first 6 months, I would have said, yeah, no, sign me up for that. But I wouldn't change a thing right now. What we've been through and who we are because of it, I wouldn't change a thing. So that's who I want to thank. Who do you want to thank? I'm just going to cry through this whole show. I got to get it together here. All right. I already have to reach for a tissue. Excuse me. Okay. All right. We're moving on because I got to mop down. Big show for you today. Something we've never done here before. I'm so excited about it. I didn't talk about our topic of the week. Our topic for the week is seeing and seeking the positive. It's there. It's there when you want to see it. And we've got great guests today who are going to be talking about just that, which I'm going to get to right now. So on the show today, we are going to have, it says Dr. Del Nadowski for setting goals, but I rearranged this and didn't tell Kelby. We are going to have both Dr. Del Nadowski and Dr. Jonathan Tarbox at the same time answering questions about autism coming from you and coming from me. We're saying our farewell for 2014. And then in the second hour, we've got great guests. Nava Paskowitz is going to be with us. She is an amazing autism mom, and she has a new job working in the field on something called Circle of Friends at a very special school. She's going to talk about that. And we have a rabbi who is going to be, I'm not even going to try to slaughter his name, but a rabbi is going to be with us to talk about Hanukkah. And because we've talked a lot about considerations that we make during the holidays for Christmas and dealing with that. But we've got a rabbi who's going to be here and talking with us about, we're bringing the Hanukkah today. I've got my blue and my silver on. So all of that and ever so much more. And then we're going to wish you a very happy new year. So stick with us. I'm going to mop down. We're going to be back with Dr. Del Nadowski and Dr. Jonathan Tarbox. We've never done it before. You're going to love it. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Ryan with Autism Research Group. We study ways to improve the lives of kids with autism. One of those ways is teaching safety skills, such as what to do if they get lost. We hit the streets to find out if anybody knows the correct answer on how to teach a kid what to do if they get lost. You're teaching a child.
What to do if they get lost.
Yeah, you're trying to make them
Okay.
independent so they have the skills.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, give them a compass. Code name's good idea. Centurion.
We always have this whistle.
Oh, I'd
Figure it
also
out,
tell
don't
the kid. I tell the kid, don't get scared. It's all. You're gonna be all right, man. This is just the world. This is planet Earth. You're at home here. As long as you're on planet Earth, you're at home.
As long as you're on planet Earth, you're home. This guy's a genius. With that flawless logic, he just solved our homeless problem. And as for the unique sounding whistle, although very cool, it'll probably only work if you're in close proximity. And a compass?
I have her call me.
Yeah, she don't have a phone. Parents are like, you're too young, you don't need a phone.
Establish some sort of like meeting place.
What if they can't find a meeting place? Because sometimes the kids get nervous when they get lost.
Yeah.
So like a backup plan,
Well,
plan B.
yeah, I don't know. No, not really.
Let them go and find a new kid.
Yeah, I've got a different one. Yeah.
There's not much you can do. 'Cause
There is
if
stuff you can do.
Like,
That's right, there is stuff you can do. In 2012, myself, along with my colleagues, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox and Dr. Adele Nadowski, published a study in the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis on teaching kids what to do when they get lost. The study demonstrated how 3 simple things, rules, role-playing, and praise, were effective in establishing these help-seeking behaviors. The benefit of this method is it doesn't require the child to have a cell phone or to have to locate a meeting place, which might be difficult if they're in a place like Disneyland. So once again, our method included rules, role-playing, and praise. Let's head back outside and learn about some of these rules.
They should yell out loud. Can't find my mom. Or mom, help me.
maybe yell out and scream for help.
All right, scream really loud,
Correct.
and if that doesn't work, then,
I don't know.
well, they could seek help from someone.
Find an adult.
Yeah, go to a vendor, and say I'm lost.
Find an adult, like a police officer or a fireman or an employee in the store, and tell them, and maybe they can help you contact your parent. It really is that simple. You don't need to get your kid a cell phone. You don't need to establish a meeting place that they might not be able to find when they're lost and panicking. And you definitely don't need to give them a compass. All your kid has to do is 3 things. First, yell mom or dad real loud. 2, if that doesn't work, find an employee. And then 3rd, tell the employee they're lost. If they can't locate an employee, then tell them to find a mother with children, because that's probably the safest person to approach. I'm not saying that most men are predators, but most predators are men. That is a fact. I've read it in a fortune cookie. All right, so you've gone over the rules with your kid, and you've quizzed them, and they're able to tell you the correct responses so they understand the rules. But is that enough? How do you know they're gonna perform correctly in a real world setting? You need to get out there and find out if they can actually do it. So you'd go over the rules and tell them, like, do this, do that, but how would you know if they actually knew what to do? If you wanted to shoot a basketball, and I just told you, oh, when you shoot a basketball, do this, this, and this.
I never practice.
You never practice, yeah, so it don't matter how many times we go over the rules or how well you can repeat them back to me. It's not going to change until you get on the court and practice.
Maybe do like a, a little skit with them.
Like a
Kinda
role play? Like,
Role play, yeah.
Your child, you're lost in the toy aisle.
okay.
What do you do? I'm an attendant, walking around.
I'm lost. I don't know where my mom is.
And then once you practice, you just like praise them, give them feedback, like, good job, you did it.
Reinforcing it.
Yes, this woman wins the prize for best comment. She pointed out the most important part of learning, reinforcement. Now, in our study, we used praise, but for your kid, you might have to use something else. You might have to buy them a treat, a toy, take them to their favorite restaurant where they can eat unhealthy food, and run around and climb through plastic tunnels that have the unmistakable scent of urine, and then play games, spending $20 to get a plastic little spider ring that they will eventually lose in a ball pit. The point is, you need to reward your child for correctly demonstrating what you've been teaching them.
Okay, I'm gonna call her. So, hello, your child, Ryan Ouch is missing. There you go.
Woohoo!
Yay!
So you tested it out
I'll
in the
try.
store to make sure I knew it. I had the rules,
Yes.
we role played it, and you made sure I knew it, and then like you said good job and all that. Now we're good to go.
We're good to go.
All right.
Done?
High five right there.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Give your child the rules, get out there and practice, and reward your child for responding correctly. For more information, please visit us online at autismresearchgroup.org. I'm Ryan Bergstrom. Thanks for watching. Yes, ding, no. Yes, this woman wins the first. Yes, this woman. Yes, this woman wins the best. Yes, this woman wins the first place. Yes, this woman wins. Why can't I say woman? Yes, this woman wins. What's the line? Yes!
Welcome back to Autism Live. We are doing something today that we've never done before, and I'm really excited. On Thursdays, we typically have Dr. Adele Nadowski and we have Dr. Jonathan Tarbox, but we have them separately at different times. And so we decided today that it'd be fun if we had them both on at the same time, and I'm so excited that you guys were game for it. This is really fun. It's like bringing the A-team together all at the same time. This is really fun.
All right.
So yay. So welcome, first of all. And for anybody who's new and joining us today, we have Dr. Adele Nadowski, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox. They are amazing individuals, both board-certified behavior analysts that work extensively with children on the autism spectrum. Dr. Nadowski was one of the co-creators of Skills. Dr. Tarbox is the head of research and development at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, and they both have credentials far and away and above all of that. And we could take all the time talking about all the things they do, but they're amazing professionals who work with individuals on the spectrum and have for a number of years despite how young they look. I think there's something about when you work with kids with autism, you look younger than you do because all of you look like you're way too young to have worked in this field as long as I know you have.
Just so you know, I'm older than him.
Just barely, 6 months or something.
No, a
but I
year.
actually.
This is good. We have them together so you can hear the witty repartee that will go back and forth.
But I actually counted how long I've been working with kids with autism the other day.
Okay.
I haven't done that in a long time. I thought I was somewhere around 13 years, 14 years, but I'm at 17 years now this January. Yeah.
That's
how about
amazing.
I
You're
started
more
in
than me, right?
1995.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
1995. There you go.
So
I was 19 at the time.
Wow.
okay.
So you're coming up
So
on 19
people are
years?
doing math as fast as they
20
can.
years.
Well, in any case, you both are amazing, and it's wonderful that you're here, and I'm going to start throwing questions that people have written in as fast
Great.
and furious as we can. Okay. Somebody writes in, "Hi, thank you for your show. How would you go about teaching an almost 5-year-old how to write? He can trace, but it still looks very shaky. His letters look a little shaky, that is, and he can label and recognize his name and letters, but he cannot copy them, and thanks for the help." Okay, who wants to start? And while you're thinking about that, I just want to say that writing is one of the hardest things for my child, and that we went through a lot of different things and tracing of things, but I have to say that we made a huge gain because of something that you said to me that wasn't about my child. You started talking to me about visual motor. And some of the symptoms of visual motor, which
That's right.
nobody had ever talked to me about before. And I very quickly took my, I think he was 7 or about to be 8 at that time. And we had just toughed it out with trying to get the writing under control. But we took him to, I always mess this up, but I think it's a developmental ophthalmologist. And he did a battery of tests and found that my son, unrelated to autism, had a visual motor problem that was he said, "I can't believe this child reads." And I felt bad as a parent because my son was sitting in, one of those chairs. It looks almost like a dentist chair. And he had the 2 little balls on the sticks, and he was doing things and saying, "Sit with your head still and follow them with your eyes." And my son was sitting in the chair and going like this to try to get his eye to look to the one side. And the doctor said, "Do you see how hard he is compensating for this? This is something that we can work on." And we did a series of visual motor lessons, and we've had great improvement. And so I want to thank you for that, because the handwriting is still catching up. If we had done that earlier, I don't know how much earlier we could have done it, but we're still catching up on the handwriting because he missed years because he couldn't see. He couldn't track with his eyes. So something to consider at 5. I don't know.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
huge for us. That was a game changer for us.
Right.
And there are a set of skills that he is still behind in because he's catching up from that. Like, it's still hard for him to ride a bike.
Yeah. I have an idea for you. It's an app called Little Writer.
Okay.
And it's awesome because it has the letters on like an iPad, and then you use your finger. That's probably a good place to start with, and then from there go to a stylus. And it has little animation kind of things that go in the order you're supposed to write. So obviously when they teach writing, they teach a certain writing style. Like Danielian is one example, you know, so that you're learning to write it in the correct form.
Right.
Which is not the most important thing, but it does start with the order and it kind of goes and you follow it. And if you mess up, it will not progress.
Okay.
So you have to fix your error as you're going, kind of a thing.
Love it.
And I've tried that with some kids, and some of them who had very difficult time writing with a pencil on paper did very well with that, and then we were able to move into the paper later.
And what is it called again?
Little Writer.
Little Writer. And do you have any idea price point?
I think it's free.
Okay,
Yeah.
we like that.
Yeah.
Can't get any better than that.
It's
Little
fantastic,
Writer, love
yeah.
that.
I didn't know about that. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's pretty cool.
Love that. Any other advice, Dr. Tarbox?
I was just going to say, if you don't go with an app, I would say do that first, what she said, definitely. But if you don't go with an app, or if you don't have an iPad or whatever, or if you want to work on pen and paper or pencil and paper, the number one thing is to make it fun. Kids find writing practice really frustrating, so you've got to make it fun, either by using really powerful reinforcers, right, as motivators, or by somehow embedding writing practice into something else they really like. Make a game out of it, play their favorite music, or write the name of their favorite superhero, whatever it is, but you've got to make it fun. It has to be reinforcing, and you can see when your child starts to get frustrated, and they can see when you start to get frustrated when you're doing it with them, and if either of those are happening, that's a sign that it's not fun enough, and you've got to build more reinforcement into it.
Up your game.
But maybe
Yeah.
the app is the way to do that to begin with.
It makes
Right.
it really fun because the kids love technology, and I like the feedback it gives them immediately when they start to not be on the line. You know,
Yeah,
it
that's
gets them back on
fantastic.
track. And then also once you move to paper, you can put like dots, like kind of big dots at each of the corners of the letters, so that it gives them a stopping point. Because some kids, when they're writing, they just keep going. They don't act, or like if they're doing a down movement, they'll just keep going down the page, even though the page you're using has lines that they're supposed to
Right.
stay within. And then also starting with bigger and then moving to smaller, because it's obviously small or harder to write when you have to write small.
Okay.
So allowing them to start big.
And
And then- go ahead.
another way to make your own worksheets is to print like on a Word document or whatever with really large font and really bold font, but then print it out at a very, very light gray color, so you can just barely see the letter, but it's really big and really thick, and so you can trace over it, and you can see the line that you're making with the pencil is more bold than the color of the ink that it was printed on, if that
Love
makes
it.
sense.
Love
So,
that.
and then you gradually fade out how bold the font is or how thick the font is, so that there's less of a prompt, basically.
Love that.
A couple other things is just use a thicker pencil.
Uh-huh.
It's easier to grip. And sometimes putting it on a slant is also helpful for the kids.
Okay.
It gets it closer to their face, and for whatever reason, this is something a lot of OTs recommend and stuff, and I've seen some improvements. Like I actually had a kid where I was like, really, I don't know about the whole slant thing, and we had the thing on the slant, and all of a sudden his writing really improved quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got to try that. I haven't tried that yet.
So yeah, those are just.
Okay.
And then
Some of
practice, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trying once or twice a week for 10 minutes is not enough. It's
Yeah.
got to be repeated practice, but with lots of fun and lots of motivation.
Lots of fun. And for the letter recognition, we had talked last week about one of the things that we found, both of us as parents, to be really effective was the Leapfrog learning, the DVD, the Letter Factory.
Oh yeah.
I swear by that for all of our kids. A couple of years ago, it was our favorite toy of the month because I love, as a teacher, the fact that it gives them a visual. It's fun. They love it. There's a song that goes with it. So for the kids who learn by repetition and hearing things, they're going to be able to learn. For the kids who are visual, it's very fun and colorful and exciting. But there's a motor component to it too, that there's an action that each letter takes. The example that I used was the K, kicks. It's a kick. And so for kids who need to get stuff in their bodies, they learn it too. So it gives you all of those things in a lovely little DVD that you can set it so that it plays continually. You were saying that your husband had it on a loop that it played
Yeah.
when they were doing everything else in the house.
Eating or whatever, it was going
Yeah.
like 3 times a day. Probably the kids watch that.
Amazing. That will help, I think, with the letter recognition of being able to see it and know
And the
which
phonics,
letters.
too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Okay. And write to us and let us know whether that's helpful. Okay. Moving on to our next question here. Hi, this question is for Dr. Tarbox.
Okay.
Okay. My son is almost 5 and is struggling in school with identifying his teacher and therapist that he works with on a daily basis. He's in an autism school and he has a one-on-one therapist all day, every day. They've been using pictures and in live action to teach him their names. It's been a few weeks and he only knows 2 out of 10 and sometimes gets them confused. I don't know exactly what is going on, why he's not retaining the info. Do you think he has retaining problems? If I show him pictures of myself, husband, brothers, etc., he knows all of us. The teacher and therapist are all women. I don't know if that may be an issue too. He still has a problem talking and giving eye contact too. He is verbal and really smart. His understanding is good too. His sentences are somewhere between 4 to 5 words long. I think it's being too long for him to not know his teachers. How can I help him? And thank you so much. You're awesome.
Oh, well, thank
We
you
agree
very
with
much.
her. You are
Appreciate
awesome.
that. And remind me again, how old is the child?
Almost 5.
Almost 5. Okay. And speaking in 4 to 5 word sentences.
Yes.
Okay. Well, one thing that I would say is, first of all, that's fantastic that he's already speaking in 4 to 5 word sentences, and sounds like he's in a good program. So that's a really good foundation to start from. And then I guess what I would say is getting hung up on learning teachers' names and people's names is really, really common. We see that all the time. And I guess what I would say is it has to matter to the kid for them to learn it rapidly. And honestly, why does it really matter, right? I mean, what big difference does it make for him to know the individual names of all the different people that work with him at school? I think they said there's about 10 different ones, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, he's having 10 different people go in and out of his life probably every 30 minutes or every hour, all day, every day. And they all are working with him. Hopefully they're all being supportive and nice and making it fun. And what's the difference really to him? What's the outcome or what's the payoff to actually memorize all of those names? With family members, and he already knows the family members' names, there's a big difference, right? Like there's a big difference between mom and dad. There's a big difference between, sister, brother, whatever. And you have a personal relationship with them. You love that person for a long time. I mean, there's a reason why it's easier to learn family member names. And I would say, not to trivialize it, like, yes, it would be nice for him to learn these names, but compared to lots of other things you might work on in school, it's probably the least important thing, or one of the least important things. So honestly, I wouldn't really worry a lot about this. I mean, I'm terrible with names, It takes me a long time to learn 10 different people's names, especially if they're all female, they all work in the same location, they all do the same thing with you pretty much.
And they've all got long hair, and half of them are blonde and half of them are brunette.
Right,
It's like, oh goodness.
I would not worry about retention problems. If he's learning a bunch of this other stuff and he's doing well, I wouldn't make too much of it, honestly.
Okay.
I think also it's been a couple weeks, or is that what it was?
It sounds like it's been since the beginning of the year.
Oh, okay.
They've been
So
hitting
semester.
it hard for a couple of weeks, but it's concerning to her, and I can understand that because as a parent, when your child doesn't pick something up that other kids do, you go,
Right.
We got to do that. And honestly, Jem and I, we've gone over this many times that before we go to an event, we went to something the other night. I said, okay, here are the questions people are going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to ask you how old you are. They're going to ask you what grade you're in. They're going to ask you what the name of your teacher is. I don't know why, but that's what the
Everybody
lady in
does.
Target, in line at Target, will go, so what's your teacher's name this year? Because they don't know what else to ask the kid.
Yeah.
And then when your kid doesn't know, you feel like it's an epic fail, right?
Right.
And and so you just want to feel normal and you want to feel like everybody else. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, this year, I don't know, like I have to have a gift tomorrow for the person who does speech with my son. I don't know what her name is this year.
Yeah.
I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? That's not good. But
Yeah, and I actually go into a classroom once a week for 2 hours for a client, and there's only 9 students in the class. And every time I'm in there, I'm confusing some of the students still, and it's been since the beginning of the year. And I'm asking someone else, which one is that one again?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So
Well, I will tell you, like, and this hits really home for me last night even, we started something when Jem was in preschool because he couldn't remember the kids in class name. And that, to me, was debilitating. And we kept trying to figure out how was he going to remember his friends' names. You know, he couldn't do that. So I asked if I could go in and take a picture of all of the kids because I was going to make this thing for him at home, like the Learning Factory, that I was going to make a video with their pictures and with the names and have them move with a song behind it so that he would learn their names. Well, it ended up being so cool that we gave it to all of the kids, and it turned into a thing that
awesome.
whenever Jem is in a class, they know, oh, you know, Mrs. Penrod is going to do a holiday show and an end of the year show, and it has a little thing that it waves and it says, you know, here's this class's show, and it says starring, and it has the teacher and the name waves and it explodes. And this is the last year I'm going to do it because of 6th grade. So I was working on it last night, and I said to Jem, come down here and tell me who all these kids were. He couldn't. I had to get the kid around the corner to come and show me. But he will learn it now because of the video. He will learn their names. So I shouldn't have waited till this time in the year to do it. But you can do that too. It's very easy to do. You just go in one day, take a picture of every kid in the classroom, get a list from the teacher, their names, and there are, you know, you can download now. You can make a slideshow for free and put the name of the kids in there. Everybody can do that. You could do that with these teachers and with these therapists if it was really important to you. But I'm kind of with all of you in the realm of things. Is that the most important thing?
Right.
Because I can't remember their names. You know? So
I would say it's more important for him to know the students' names probably than the teachers.
And family, and he already knows those. So I think he's doing fairly well. Let's face it, none of us learn names of people unless it's important to us.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to regroup and come back with some more of your questions. Stick with us.
Hi guys, welcome back to Smarty. This month we're going to be making a wreath of thanks, and as we work on this activity, you'll notice that these icons will pop up. These icons tell you important information about the skills we'll be using to make this activity and where to find them on the Skills program. Skills is an ABA-based online tool that helps parents create curriculum for their children that are on the autism spectrum. And if you're already a Skills user, this will help you get the most out of this fun activity. Well, let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are a paper plate, a hole puncher, scissors, colored pencils or crayons, brackets, and craft paper. So step 1, you're going to take your paper plate and you're going to cut out the center of this so it becomes just a hollow ring for your wreath. Once the center of the paper plate has been removed, you're going to take your hole puncher and make holes along the edge. Step 3, you're going to take out your construction paper and you're going to have your child and your family members lay their hand upon it and you're going to trace out the shape of their hand. Once their hand has been traced, then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut out the hands. At the base of each hand, you're going to take your hole puncher and make a single hole punch in it. The holidays are about being thankful, so on each hand, you're going to have your child put something on there that they're thankful for. Once your messages have been written on the hands, you're going to place them on the circle. You're going to use your brackets to hold them in place. So, your finished wreath will be a wonderful reminder of all the things that you're happy and hopeful for, and it will help you bring in the new year with such wonderful joy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this activity with me, and until next time, craft on guys. Bye. To find more about Skills and to access all of the lessons you saw in today's Smarty, visit skillsforautism.com and click on the parents icon. Skills, the online autism solution.
Welcome back to Autism Live on this, the last live show of the year 2014. We have a very special treat for you. If you're just joining us for the first time, together we have Dr. Adele Nadowski and Dr. Jonathan Tarbucks. They are answering your questions. I'm going to dive right in. We had somebody who wrote in and asked if Dr. Adele could answer their question. My 4.5-year-old son scripts so much throughout the day. He scripts about shows, things the teachers tell him in school, about what he hears in the house too. He has language, can talk in 5 to 6 word sentences. Sometimes he uses the scripting to communicate appropriately, but it just goes on for the whole day while he's playing, eating, taking a bath, etc. I try to redirect him by joining his conversation, but after I'm done asking him questions, he goes right back to scripting. Please help me, and thank you so much.
Well, one of the first things is hopefully he's getting intervention for language skills and he's being taught how to use his language appropriately. Because the intervention that I'm going to recommend is basically putting in place a rule that he cannot engage in scripting for a certain length of time, and based on meeting that goal, he gets access to a reinforcer. But then we're not teaching any sort of replacement behavior in that sense. So we want him to be learning lots of language skills and how to use those appropriately, and redirection and things like that can work. But what I would do first is just kind of see how long he can go without engaging in scripting, and if he does it at a certain amount of time. So like, let's say every 3 minutes he's engaging in scripting, then you would set an interval lower than 3 minutes to make him successful. And a lot of times you set a timer and set a rule that if you don't do scripting for the next 2 minutes, then you're going to get this reinforcer. So first of all, you need to do a preference assessment, figure out what he really likes so that you're using something very motivating. And then you set the timer. And based on being successful, he gets the reinforcer. And then if he can continue to do that over multiple times, then we'll increase the schedule. So now it's not going to be every 2 minutes, maybe every 2.5 or something like that. And we slowly increase. At the same time, we're giving him conversational skills, teaching him lots of language and other ways that he can communicate, and maybe giving him opportunities where it might be appropriate and okay for him to engage in scripting.
Okay.
So maybe we can teach him that you can script, but you're not going to do that when you're in the public or with other people. Maybe that would be one thing. Or if it really bothers you and you don't want him scripting around you either, then it could be he has to do it in his bedroom, something like that.
Okay. Now you had said DRO.
I said that during the break.
Right.
I didn't say that now.
I know, but I wanted to say it because we're all jargon geeks now.
Yes.
Everybody
and I'm
who watches
trying not
the show.
to use jargon.
I know, but we're like kind of into it now. That
Okay.
We want to know what these terms are. So explain what because I can never remember what DRO stands for.
Okay. It's differential reinforcement of other behavior.
Okay.
And so it's basically, based on a time interval of not engaging in the behavior. So it's like reinforcing the absence of the challenging behavior that we're dealing with. So if the behavior doesn't occur, you get the reinforcer. Sometimes you reset the timer too. So if you have a 2-minute interval and the child engages in scripting, then you might have to say, I have to reset the timer because you engaged in, scripting, so we're going to start over.
And so would you actually use that term with a child and say, because I think it's great to have a name for what they're doing so that they understand. So
most families already have the name because it drives them nuts so much.
Right.
They're already telling their kids, stop doing X, Y, and Z.
They usually say movie talk or something like that.
Something. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, because I think it's important, instead of saying stop doing that,
Right.
Don't do that, because that can be so misinterpreted what that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so name it something, whatever it is, and say to them, if you don't do it, and if you do it, I'm resetting the timer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really important to know that this procedure works even for kids who are really severely affected by autism, and even for kids who are scripting all day long. And we've seen this procedure work where you might have to start out with a very, very short interval, so you're giving those rewards really, really frequently, and you'll think, well, this isn't really practical. There's no way I can really do this on a daily basis. But if you do it consistently and you only increase that interval when the child's being successful with not scripting, you are able, very slowly.
Yeah.
We've seen this work where kids can get all the way up to maybe 30 minutes or maybe even an hour without scripting before they get the reinforcer, rather than every 2 minutes or 10 seconds.
And you might have to start with 15 seconds or something really ridiculous.
I think that's where parents, we kind of fall apart because we can't see the end game. I think it's so important when you have somebody that, if you're working with an ABA team who can go in and start this intervention so that you see just enough of it that you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you will get on board quickly and go, all right, if I have to spend the next 3 months moving it by 1 second, I will be so much further than I am now. And then a year from now, you'll find yourself in a place where you're not having to say, please help me, this is making me crazy.
Another thing is you can do it with a token economy system. So have a token board and make contingent on meeting the goal or whatever, they get a token, so it isn't immediately access to the actual reinforcer. And you can also do self-monitoring with some kids. So basically, based on if they met it during the interval, they would mark down on a piece of paper or with a golf counter or something like that. And then maybe there's a rule that after they get 10 clicks or check marks or whatever, 5, whatever you come up with, start with something low and then maybe make it more difficult over time, then they can get the reinforcer. Sometimes self-monitoring alone is helpful for kids who have these kind of behaviors, very interestingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found that.
Yeah, but that's something that comes a little bit further down the road, right?
Yes.
But I think eventually having that in your mind as a parent that we're going to get it to the point where they're going to keep track of it empowers them and takes the weight off of us. If I know that's where I'm going,
Right.
that's a happy place to end up at.
And at that point, you're teaching your child a skill to let him or her be more independent and be able to control himself in the future rather than always depending on prompts from others. So
Yeah.
it's really valuable.
Very, very wonderful. Okay, moving on to the next question. Do you have any ideas for replacement behaviors for looking out the side of the eye? My 14-year-old tells me his brain is telling him to do it and he can't control it. Used to be jaw movements, and that has been better with gum chewing. Don't know if jaw action has morphed to the eye. Thank you. You're wonderful and amazing for all you do. And still, I talking about the cooking because we did cookies yesterday. Still finding time to cook. You guys missed it. We had the gluten-free, casein-free, no refined sugar cookie off yesterday.
Was it good?
And they weren't horrible, apparently.
All right.
In fact, we got what did we get, Calby? 2 A's and 3 B's. It was pretty good. Okay. He's giving me a grade point average in my ear. Okay, so yes, we do what we can. But looking out the side of the eye. It's interesting that we're talking about the visual motor today. Okay, who wants to start?
All right, so I guess I'll start. This is a pretty tough one, and we do see this a lot in folks on the spectrum. And actually, I don't know, maybe this will sound kind of silly, but you should actually try it once. It does actually look kind of cool to stare out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why folks do it. You know, it's not caused by autism. It's a enjoyable self-stimulatory behavior that a lot of individuals like to engage in, and you can't blame them. I mean, it kind of looks cool. Replacement behaviors, that's a pretty tricky one. Generally speaking, what we try to look for is any behavior that will produce sort of a similar type of stimulation. So if it's visual stimulation that they're getting out of staring out of the corner of their eye, then something else that produces enjoyable visual stimulation would be the best replacement behavior. So something that they need to look at straight or straight ahead rather than through the corner of their eye, that is enjoyable to look at would be probably the most reasonable or most likely to work replacement behavior. So maybe preferred videos or movies, or maybe even an art project or a craft project where it's actually fun in the moment and it requires looking straight ahead.
Yeah.
Now, what you might be thinking, and it's a reasonable question, is, well, okay, but I can't just have my son do arts and crafts and videos all the time, right? What about when we're just hanging out in public or whatever, right? And that's true. That's a tough one. I'm not sure, honestly, what the replacement behavior would be when you can't be doing some other activity or something. I mean, it could be eye contact, but for a lot of folks on the spectrum, they don't want to make eye contact.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good. It feels uncomfortable.
Well, my first question is, are they capable of looking at and seeing things when they look straight ahead? Because some kids have difficulty with being able to do that, and I would want to rule that out first. But is that just me coming from a place of that I found out that my child had a visual problem?
No, I mean, I would, if I had a kid who was always looking in the side of their eyes, I would have them seen by a developmental optometrist for sure, just to
rule out. You'll find other stuff. It's not a hard thing.
A really easy way to test that yourself is just hold up something they really care about right in front of them.
Okay, and see if they can do it.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like their top preferred reinforcer. If they see it and they reach for it, they can look out of the front of their eyes. You know what I mean?
Now,
I don't think the question is whether they can look out of the front of their eyes. It's just like, how does it look to them? Is it comfortable? Do they see it well? Stuff like that.
Okay. But again, like if there's anything that they're looking at on a regular basis that they like looking at and that they will look at for a long time, straight in front, then I think the answer to that question
is
is
not a
there.
problem. It's a choice.
I just remember this one kid who, whenever he would talk to you, he would like talk to you like this, out of the side of his eye. And I think they had him seen or something. I don't know. I think there might have been improvements, but it's almost like he was making eye contact.
But
I see
what you're saying. Yeah, but eye contact straight on is a really intense human experience, and a lot of typically developing folks aren't comfortable with it, and even more so folks on the spectrum. So that's kind of a separate issue, I think.
I do know that at one point for Jem, because he liked to look at things out of the corner of his eye, we worked on it a lot with therapists. For a while, they would put hands up to the side to limit vision. And then eventually we got a pair of, it was when they used to have those sunglasses that had the little side
sides.
things on them. So we got him a pair of glasses that had the side things and just told him they were his super cool glasses. And he was little, and so he would wear that around for like an hour a day. And we found that it cut down on, because he couldn't get what he wanted.
Yeah.
Right? So it cut down on, and he started looking at things in a different way. But for an older kid, I don't know that
Yeah,
would be appropriate for them. But I agree with you that we got to up why he would want to look at things straight on.
Right.
This is another one though where you could do the same differential reinforcement of other behaviors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And especially if we're talking in public.
DRO.
Yeah, it could be, when we're in public, when we're at the store, at the mall, or whatever it is, you need to have, eyes straight pretty much, or not do this. And, if you're able to not do it for some period of time, then you get your reward.
I have to say, though, that, one of the things that they used to say about Princess Diana that was so alluring about her was that she was somebody who always posed and looked out of the corner of her eye.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that she did, that one of the reasons why she took such beautiful photos. So keep in mind that, you want to be able to turn it on and turn it off, have him be able to do that, but it isn't the worst thing. Supposedly that's supposed to be a very alluring thing in the appropriate circumstances. Okay, moving on. All right, we had a question from our, I believe this is from our haircut mom. And they said, "Dear Shannon, thank you very much for the Oddly Obvious," because they were one of our toy winners that they just received. A wonderful game. They're looking forward to playing it with my son, who still asks oddly obvious questions and finds it hard to process I don't know answers. For example, he would ask if a classmate from kindergarten still lives in the same location. He is now 14 years old, and we haven't kept in touch with his family. He would ask again, even when I told him, I don't know. He would accept after I explained the whole scenario. We haven't kept in touch, it's been years, they may be here, they may not, etc. What skill is needed here? Would love to look it up in the skills for autism, taking baby steps, but hope to be a frequent user soon. And bestest to the kindest. Thank you so much. And thank you. Great question about, if they won't accept the I don't know, what is the skill that's missing there? What would you need to work on to be able to strengthen to get them to the point where they could accept that?
Want to take a stab?
Well, one thing that immediately pops into my mind is sort of a flexibility thing, sort of a black and white versus shades of gray thing. A lot of folks on the spectrum don't like uncertainty. It feels weird and it feels strange and it feels uncomfortable. And so we do it with a lot of folks that we work with, specifically have programs where we just run through and have them experience uncertainty or shades of gray. We say, well, what could this be? I don't know. What do you think it could be? I don't know. Let's make up a name for it. Okay, let's make up another name for it. Cool. All right. How about this? And move on.
And that's in cognition?
Executive functions, I think, actually. Yeah. Flexibility.
Yeah, it's one of the flexibility things where we actually have them try to come up with like different possible situations that could occur. Because a lot of times they think there's a straight black or white absolute answer to things. And they want to be correct, and not have, but we actually make them come up with different possibilities, like, well, it could be this, or it could be that, or it could be that, and we don't really know.
And if you want to make it really abstract, just make up a nonsense word. Like, how about blathery? What does that word mean? And I said, well, it doesn't mean anything. You made it up. Right, exactly. So let's make up a meaning. What do you think? What could it mean? And then maybe the kid comes up with something. Maybe they need a little help coming up with something. Then as soon as they figure it out, great. All right, that's not it. What else could it mean?
Okay.
And the idea is or mixing up rules on board games is another one. Just reverse the rules in the middle of the game, or just anything mixing up.
Another fun
that's
one.
Flexibility and executive functions, and shades of gray in particular. Okay.
And then also you could get into the thinking lesson in the cognition curriculum.
That's what I was wondering.
There's some cool ones where you show them pictures of stuff that could be one or more things. Right. So for example, like a picture where it kind of looks like this, and someone might say, oh, that's a hourglass, and another person would say, that's two people's faces, and another person would say, that's a vase. You know what I mean? And it could to different people. So you could basically show that to someone and say, what do you think it is? And then they say what they think it is. And then ask the child, what do you think it is? And then a third person has a whole different thing. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, that could be that. And it could be that. And it also could be that. We don't know
and there's
for sure.
not a wrong answer, which is really good for our kids to know.
It's really good.
So that's in cognition, though, the thinking. Because I love that whole series of lessons, the thinking knowing, false beliefs, all of that to me is fascinating for our kids. To prime that pump for them so that they understand that just because something looks like it's something when you get into the false beliefs, but the walk up to it by learning about thinking and the difference between thinking and knowing and beliefs is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Fact
I think it's
versus
particularly
opinion.
well done.
Yeah.
And you'll see that they work on that kind of thing at school. When Jem was in 3rd grade, I remember they did facts versus opinions, and he aced it and was like the star student in the class because the other 3rd graders were like, well, how do you figure that that's an opinion? That's, my dad says that means that it is. And Jem was like, no, that's just your dad's opinion. And he was way ahead in terms of that because of the lessons and skills that led up to that.
That's what we like to see.
Yeah. And now when we get into a sticky wicket for anything, I'm able to refer back and go, let's think about this. Which is really wonderful. He also is better at perspective taking than I am because of skills.
All right.
He is. And because of those lessons that are in there. Okay, so check those out. Check out executive functions, the flexibility, and check out in cognition, the thinking, knowing, beliefs, false beliefs. There's some really fun lessons in there.
Yeah.
I love the whole treasure hunt things.
And check out Shades of Grey, which is also an executive functions. That's good for when he may be one extreme or the other, and it kind of looks like a continuum, and you put one extreme on one side and one on the other, and you talk about what else could be in the middle that you're missing out on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just looked up and realized that we're out of time, and I don't want to be. We can go a little bit longer. We don't have our if you guys are willing to stay. Do you have time to stay?
Sure.
We're going to take a short break. Do you want to go and show the A word, Kelby? So we'll be relatively on schedule. Okay, we're going to show you the A word. This is the ongoing documentary that's being made at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. It follows a little boy, Jack Riley. We get to have a window into his home to see how his family is dealing with that early intensive behavioral intervention. What it's like for everybody, for Jack Riley, for his new baby sister, and for his parents. Take a look. It's really fascinating. When we come back, we will have some more of this conversation. We probably have time for 2 more questions before we have to stop for our next guest. And don't forget that in our next hour, we do have Nava Paskowitz. She's going to be talking to us about Circle of Friends, and then we have a wonderful rabbi who's going to be with us as well to talk about Friendship Circle. I've got it all wrong. Friendship Circle. And we're going to talk about Hanukkah, so we're very excited about that. Stick with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack. Jack Riley. He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Let's go with Mr. Fred.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, let's really build first.
Okay, Mom, what would you like to build?
Let's build a building.
Okay.
Right now, Jessica and Jack Riley are doing constructive play with Legos. What it does is teach a child how to imitate others and construct items out of their imagination.
I need a window. Where's my window?
Jack Riley is building things from his own mind, things that he's been taught before and he's recalling on his own.
Another one.
What is that supposed to be? Is it a camera? Or glasses? Or what is it?
Camera.
It's a camera? A special camera?
Here's my camera. Click, click.
Woo! That's so cool. I also wanted to do functional pretend play too, so with the kitchen set to see how his conversation skills are. I haven't actually done that in the past couple weeks. What we're really focusing on for that is not just the actions of having him imitate, but rather the narration of it so that it's more appropriate. Like he can narrate what and tell us what he's doing in relation to what he's playing with, instead of us just modeling it for him. So we'll see.
What do you want to eat?
Can I have corn on the cob and some turkey? Careful, it's hot.
Oh, it's hot.
Blow on it.
Blow on it.
Okay, that looks delicious.
I want to eat anything else.
Yeah, I want dessert now.
Oh, here, give it to her. Here's your dessert, Suzanne.
We need some more fruit. Here's a fruit.
Oh, thank you. That looks delicious. I can't wait to eat it.
It's cold.
It's cold? Oh, good. Don't have to blow on it.
Do you like it?
Do you like it?
I love it. Thank you. It's a perfect call for a dessert. Would you like to have some of my fruit that you gave me?
Yeah.
Which one would you like to have? Oh, the orange, delicious.
How did it taste? Look at her.
How'd it taste?
It's good.
It's good?
I'm eating.
I know.
This is delicious.
Banana. Banana. Here's your banana.
Thank you for the banana.
Welcome back to Autism Live. You just were watching the A Word. Want to let you know that you can watch that entire series on its very own YouTube channel. We encourage you to check it out. You can learn so much from watching this family go through their therapy. But we've extended our little session, question and answer session with Dr. Jonathan Tarbox and Dr. Adele Nadowski. We're gonna try to answer 3 questions as quickly as we can because we have limited time on this last show of the year. Okay, my child loves the iPad and we have tons of educational apps on it, but he has learned to find YouTube. Welcome to my world. Even after I deleted the app, he likes watching toy reviews, Play-Doh reveals, and other people playing out scenes of cartoons. He will play like the show, pretend to open invisible reveals, and tell us what the invisible toy was, and act out the scene later with his own toys, so he's learning something, but it's all he wants to do. It's getting so hard to get him to play the educational apps. He's 3. Because I know I've got an 11-year-old who's all about the YouTube. He's 3 years old and in preschool, so the educational stuff is important. It's also autism apps. But I've heard you guys say on your show that learning the pretend play is important too. What do I do? Do I let him watch this or do I make him play the games first, even if he throws a fit for a while before he can watch YouTube? Who wants to field it?
I would just limit it and probably use that as a reinforcer for doing the other things that you want him to do.
And he is going to throw a fit.
Yeah, and you want him to throw a fit because he's learning a really important lesson there. He's learning that when he throws a fit, he doesn't get what he wants. Okay. When he engages in educational opportunities, he does get what he wants, right? That's really good. It's a really important lesson.
Okay.
And follow through, though. Don't give in.
Right. And don't you just want to hug Dr. Tarbox when he says that this is a good thing when he's throwing a fit? Because we need to hear that and be reminded that that isn't the end of the world.
Right.
That it's part of a learning process.
And honestly, the pain in your heart that you're going to feel while your child is throwing the fit the first few times that it happens hurts, but at the same time that you're feeling that, you should be saying to yourself, this is good. This is what my kid needs. I'm sticking to my guns.
I want to mention something you may not be aware of. The iPad has something called guided access, and I think it's in the settings, and it allows you to lock the iPad on whatever page you're on. So if you're on an educational app, you can lock it, and then he won't even be able to leave to go to the YouTube.
Great idea.
Until you unlock it for him.
Okay. We need to know all about that. Okay, next question. My son is 4, nonverbal. He does say some words and tries to make sounds when we tell him, say bye or Dana, his sister's name. He's in speech therapy and in process of starting ABA. Is there any advice that you can give us as to how to work with him and what therapies I can get for him to help my son? Who wants to go first?
Either way.
Go for it.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, I'd like to say 4 years old is not too late to start intensive ABA. The research is very clear that for children under the age of 5, what they really need more than anything else is 30 hours a week or more, 30 to 40 hours a week of one-to-one intensive behavioral intervention lasting for 2 or more years. So if you wanted to do one thing that would really make a big difference in your child's ability to gain skills and function more independently in life, it's get intensive ABA. 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week is better than nothing, but it's not what's been proven to work the best. 30 to 40 hours a week, lasting for 2 or more years.
Okay. And that really is, do you want to add anything to that? Because that's pretty much it, right?
I mean, my answer was going to be get as much ABA as you can.
Okay. Yes. And if you need help figuring out how you do that, it's different in every state. I wish that wasn't the case, and it's different depending on who your insurance provider is. But, write into me at s.penrod@autism-live.com if you need help figuring that out. But it looks like you said you're in the process of starting ABA. Just make sure they don't shortchange you. If they're talking to you about 10 hours, start talking to them about 40. And if you need help with that, let me know. Okay, last question. Hi, Shannon. My son had, because we've been talking about expressive and receptive language. Those have been our jargon for the week. They wrote in and said, hi, Shannon. My son has both expressive and receptive delay. He does have a processing delay too. When we ask him something, it takes a while to respond, or we have to repeat the question. You talked about phonemic awareness. Are you proud of me that I talked about phonemic awareness? Can a speech therapist test for this so that we might help bridge the gap? She tells me his scores are delayed about the same amount for expressive and receptive. She does not think he has apraxia though. And they said, thanks, the show is the best and so relevant. We try, and it helps when you guys write us in questions. So I did not know, former teacher, but I didn't teach little kids, I didn't know about phonemic awareness until I was reading through skills and learning. And as a former teacher, it makes me mad that they don't teach this to every single teacher, because now looking back, I can think about kids who clearly weren't processing things because they weren't recognizing the sounds. So what, can a speech therapist work on that, or do you need to go to somebody in particular, or just get skills?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I feel like I don't have enough information about this particular kid to know exactly what the situation is, but in terms of receptive and expressive language delays, that's the core issue that we work on in ABA programs. I mean, that's the number one target of treatment in ABA programs, is receptive and expressive language delays.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be my first thought.
And I think so often people get confused because they think, oh, I'm going to go to a speech therapist and they're going to work on that. And what we find over and over and over again is that speech therapists, while many of them can work on pragmatic language, a lot of them focus on where you make the sound production from, which, you know, a lot of our kids need that too.
Absolutely.
But that isn't, you can make all of the sounds in the right place and still not have good receptive and expressive language.
Right, absolutely.
And not be able to communicate with people.
And the other really important point about speech therapy is you could be the best speech therapist in the world, but if you're working with someone on the spectrum who has pretty significant delays, you're not going to get very much done in 1 hour a week.
Right.
I mean, no one, no matter how good they are, is going to get very much done in 1 hour a week.
Right, right. It's just not intensive
if
enough.
you or I wanted to produce any major behavior change for us,
Right.
1 hour a week's not going to do it. If you want to
Right.
learn Spanish, 1 hour a week's not enough. If you want to become an expert athlete, 1 hour a week's not
Right.
good enough. You know,
Or if I was going to train for a marathon,
anything,
1 hour a week
week's
was
not
not
good
going to
enough.
do it.
If you want to get good at
Right.
poker, 1 hour a week, you know, it doesn't matter
Right.
what it is. If it's a big behavior change, and catching up your receptive and expressive language delay is a big behavior change, 1 hour a week's not enough.
So, you know, in terms of, though, if she has more questions about phonemic awareness and that, though, I would ask your speech therapist if it's something they're aware of.
I think usually they are.
And if they know how to teach it. And if they don't know how to teach it, the lessons are there in skills. It's
Yeah.
in the academic curriculum. And they're all there. And your speech therapist can get those lessons. So, I'm doing all the talking and I shouldn't be. Anything you guys want to say?
No, my thing was that I'm just not sure what SLP exactly would work on, and I even think some of them focus on different things.
Yes,
so
they
I'm not
do.
sure if that's the person to go to, but I liked what Jonathan said,
Yeah.
which was, if you really want improvement, 1 hour a week wouldn't be good enough anyways.
Yeah.
So if phonemic awareness is an area that you're very concerned about, I would just make sure to work on it a lot.
And you already know you have the expressive and receptive delay. So that we really, I think everybody is saying, get some good quality ABA.
And we're not saying don't go to a speech therapist. A
Right.
good quality ABA provider will work collaboratively with a speech therapist. And if they have recommendations about exercises that'll be useful for your child, then those can be incorporated into the ABA program.
That's a good
so
point.
that they're not just done 1 hour a week.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We're doing that with a case that I'm on. We have a speech person on the team, and it's great because we actually meet with her regularly, and but she's only with him once a week for an hour, and we're with him for 20 hours a week, so we're able to implement some of the things.
Okay. Thank you so much for all that you do for everyone and for being available to answer parents' questions in this format. You know, you guys don't get to see enough, and I should send you more often the thanks that they send and how much it means to them that you guys are here and available to answer their questions. It's huge.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I need
It's
to do
exciting
It's
to
been
be here
fun.
on the last show of the year. I had no idea.
I know,
Yeah.
it's the last show there. So
It's been a good year.
Yeah, It has been a very good year, and I want everybody to know that we'll be back. The show will be back on January 7th.
Okay.
And so hopefully we'll have you guys on the 8th, which is a Thursday.
Okay.
And you can write in questions during the break, and they'll all be stored and saved, and we'll try to catch up. And you can write it on Facebook too. I'm going to keep things monitored on Facebook.
Great.
So thank you both. I hope you both have wonderful holidays and a wonderful Happy New Year.
Thank
you for having
All
us.
right. We are going to take a break, and then when we come back, we have Nava Paskowitz, and she is here. She's going to talk with us about friendship circle. I've been saying it wrong for days, so she can appropriately chastise me. Friendship circle, and then a little bit later on in this hour, we've got a rabbi who's going to be coming and talking with us also, because we're going to bring the Hanukkah today. I'm very excited about that. So stick with us back after these messages.
Riley has high-functioning autism, and I'd say I noticed somewhere between 9 months and a year. Looking back now, I can tell you everything. I mean, there was no pointing, there was no shared experiences, speech was not coming, the interactive play was not coming, those things weren't happening. You know, you go to the pediatrician, they tell you, well, sometimes boys are slow or things might take a while to come along, but it still wasn't happening. And right when he hit the 2-year-old room in preschool is when the wheels fell off the wagon. That's when we got some intervention. That's when we figured out, you know, how are we going to address this problem. The first thing I did was I got a mentor, because there's no book on what to do with your autistic child. I mean, there's many books, but each path is individual. So I got a mentor, a really nice woman named Marlene. She has a daughter with Asperger's, and she told me, go to a psychiatrist so you can have your child fully diagnosed and a rock-solid diagnosis that can't really be attacked. Call CARD and do whatever they tell you to do. That was probably the thing she talked about the most. Get in touch with CARD. She actually put me in touch with Evelyn from CARD, and calling CARD was like amazing, because I really felt like things were finally going to be okay. We were going to get the help we needed.
We tried a number of different things before we could get into CARD, and you could really see the difference in the data keeping, really addressing what his issues were, whereas the other places we had been, it seemed pointless to me.
We've talked about this, and I feel like we met a lot of really nice, well-intentioned people.
Right.
And then when we got to CARD, we met a lot of really nice people who could help us because they had the experience. It was ABA, which I think is the only way to go with your child if you're trying to overcome autism. And if you go to CARD, the people are so qualified, and there's so much of a database on how to approach this. It's just like they come right in, and we started off with, let's have Riley sit down for 2 seconds, because he couldn't even get that. And we worked on baby steps until now he's in 1st grade and he's working at grade level. So it just starts with baby steps, and it keeps working on, because they have a way to approach every single problem, every single tantrum, every single thing you're going to come up with. They have a way to approach it and help you get through it.
Yeah, I'm always amazed, like at our clinic, we'll be having a specific problem, and how good they are, all of them, the therapist and your team leader, at coming up with a solution, something to try, and it almost always works. Whatever the particular behavior you're trying to deal with, they're really good at them. They know the answers.
He likes a lot of stuff, I think, regular 7-year-olds like. He likes to swim.
He loves to swim.
He's a fish. Likes to ride a scooter, loves Toy Story, loves playing on the iPad.
Loves
Justin Bieber.
Thought you all be mine.
Good job, buddy.
High five.
High five.
High five.
Yeah.
CARD's been good about encouraging us to do things that maybe wouldn't occur to us, like him learning to ride a bike was really them saying, hey, it's time, let's do this, and helping us do that, and so he can ride a bike. He's still working on the brakes a little bit, but you know, he can pedal a bike. We can go to Balboa Park and he'll ride happy as a clam along the bike path.
If you think something's wrong, it's not about you. Don't bury your head in the sand. Go get help, because the help is out there to make your life and your child's life just so much better. And if you're lucky enough to get in with CARD, I can't even tell you what a difference it's made in our lives from 4 years ago. Just the quality of life we have, the quality of life Riley has, the progress he's made from being a child who wanted to stay in his room and play Toy Story and line up his Toy Story dolls all day to a first grader who's working at grade level. It couldn't have happened without CARD intervention, without ABA, and without all the wonderful people we met there.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're so excited because we have one of the most wonderful people on the face of the planet with us right now, Nava Paskowitz. And you come up in conversation a lot around here. You do, because we all admire you so much. You're just a wonderful light and a spirit in this world. And we have to start by saying, let's start with the good news, that we want to say congratulations, because you recently got married.
Yes.
And we couldn't be happier for you. And you married one of our other favorite people on the face of the planet.
The other most wonderful person on the planet.
And of course, we're talking about Mr. Matt Asner. So you have joined a wonderful family, and I have said on this show for a long time, it's wonderful to be around the two of you, because you are that kind of love that's infectious. When people are around you, we all get giddy and an extra little bit of happy, because it's clear how happy the two of you are together. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yes.
And I referred to you on the show before as the Autism Brady Bunch, because
yes, we definitely are.
Both of you have children on the spectrum.
Yes.
And for people to imagine what it's like to blend that kind of a family together, and that you guys do it with so much light and love, is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's inspirational to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
But on the sad side of things, in amongst all this wonderful, wonderful joy, you lost your dad, who is someone who was very dear to so many people in and out of our community.
Amazing, incredible, just incredible man. 94 years old when he died, and he was my best friend, and I'm doing a job now that was his dream, for me to be able to incorporate Judaic traditions with autism and helping autistic families. Yeah. And every day I get excited and enthused by something that goes on in my job, and I literally pick up the phone and I say, oh, I have to call my dad. He's the one person that I immediately want to call. And every day I have that, that horrible
And now it's
realization.
a different phone call. It's, you come to think of it in a different way.
Yeah.
But we want to give you our condolences.
Thank
what a
you.
wonderful, wonderful man he
Thank
was.
you.
What a gift he was. But you mentioned that you have other good news. That
I do.
You have a new position.
I have a new position, and I've been just figuring out how can I best help the community. Yeah. Obviously I've been volunteering with Autism Speaks Forever, and it's where my husband is and where my heart is. But I really felt like there was just something missing. I didn't know what the puzzle piece, so to speak, and like I said, I was working with Elaine Hall. I'm still on the board of the Miracle Project. Yeah. And Elaine said to me, I have this wonderful friend, Rabbi Zushi Kunin, who runs the Chabad of the Palisades. And she said he's looking for a program director for his program, the Friendship Circle. And I had just hurt my back. I was doing the surf therapy program. I couldn't do that anymore. Wow. And I thought, well, I'm not Orthodox. How is that going to work? And I met Zushi, and it was as if this light kind of glowed around him, and he and I just went, ah, and he says to me, Hashem brought you to me, which, God sent you to me. And I felt that way too when we spoke and we talked about, we both had such similar dreams about not just the Friendship Circle, and I'll tell you a little more about the program, but also about making a facility for teens and for older kids, and bringing my surf and health and wellness component into the kids. My two sons have gained an enormous amount of weight. They both are totally sedentary, iPad, YouTube. I heard you talk about YouTube.
Yeah.
So one of my goals is getting more of the health and wellness, and Friendship Circle basically.
Well, we're going to wait and talk about Friendship Circle, because we're going to take a break about that. But we're excited about all these wonderful things that you have going on. And we should mention that Rabbi, say his name again for me.
Zushi, like sushi, but with a Z. Zushi Kunin.
He's going to be
and he
with
comes
us
from a very
little bit later.
famous Chabad family.
Okay, so he's going to be with us a little bit later. But first we're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back and you're going to tell us all about Friendship Circle so people can know about that. And then we're also going to talk about something that you got coming up, and we're going to talk about Hanukkah.
Yes, we have a wonderful event coming on Sunday.
Okay, so all of that and ever so much more. And we actually have Matt Asner is going to join us for a little at the end as well. So don't go away. Stick with us.
Hello, fellow activists. Last segment, we talked about step 3, get support. Step number 4 is don't compare, run your own race. Now, it's one thing to aspire to be like someone that's really helped their child. We all want to do that. That's really different than keeping up with the Joneses. That only serves to make you envious and full of regret. There will always be someone who has a child with autism who is doing better than yours, and there will always be someone who has a child with autism who's doing worse than yours. One morning I was talking to the mom of a recovered child who told me he had been moved into the gifted class. Well, I had heard that week that my own son, who was in 5th grade, was reading at 1st grade level. Now, I have to admit, I was kind of proud of him until that phone call, which put me over the edge. The green-eyed monster of jealousy. Well, later that same day, I got into the elevator as I was taking my son to clinic. There was a father with his 2 sons, one typical and one with severe autism. He was pretty much nonverbal, but he did make some very strange sounds over and over again. He had bite marks, scratches all over his arms. He wore mittens to protect him from himself. The father, however, had a big smile on his face. Needless to say, the universe was sending me a message that day. Don't compare. Be grateful for the progress your child has made and will continue to make. So until next time, keep running your own race at your own pace. Don't forget to stop for water and keep the faith.
Welcome back to Autism Live, and this our last show of the year. We're so thrilled to be ending it here with the lovely Nava Paskowitz. We were talking with her before the break about a new position that she has.
I'm very excited.
And so if you're just joining us, she was talking about Friendship Circle.
Yes.
So tell us what that is.
Well, it's run by the Chabad, and it's individual to each Chabad. It's a worldwide organization, and it was started in Michigan, basically by a rabbi who saw the need for parents who needed support. And he had a lot of special needs kids in his Orthodox community, so it started in an Orthodox idea of having the community support these particular families. And it's gone on to this huge, all-inclusive and all-welcoming group. And basically what it is we take typical teens and college kids who are inspired and they want to help and they want to be a part of something wonderful. And we, it's the match, I'm the matchmaker, so to speak.
I love that.
And the most important part is recognizing the right teen with the right child or teenager, special needs. And we take all special needs. We don't just specifically take autistic kids.
Okay.
But I find that when I'm speaking to the parents, because I deal with both the parents, the schools, it's an equal importance. I need to find the perfect volunteers. And Matt, because we have 3 teenagers already, we have our built-in volunteers that I've signed up, whether they like it or not. But for me, I have 3 kids on the spectrum, my 2 and Matt's son, and I'm able to really relate to these parents, and they're over the moon. They're just, they every single parent I've talked to said, you get it. You can understand my frustration of just wanting to have a cup of tea and just, put Johnny in there for a minute and have that, hour of respite. And it's once a week. And the foundational program of the Friendship Circle is called Friends at Home, where a teenager goes to your home, just becomes really close. I mean, they become really friends with these kids. And then we branch out. And the wonderful thing about our particular Friendship Circle is Zushi's really allowed me to make it my own and recreate it how we want. And so I come from a camp background, so I want to have a summer camp. I want to have the ability to have a teen club, and we happen to have the most beautiful facility in the world. We're 2 blocks from Will Rogers State Beach, so every day there's my Mother Ocean, so it's just the environment here is so Nava-centric, it's just like the ocean. Rabbi Zushi, who's, to me is as close to, he's the most spiritual, light human being I've ever met in my life. And he inspires me every day to want to help more people and help and better myself also because, like I said, my dad's death has been earth-shattering. It's really rocked everything that I felt and knew. And being in this environment of light and happiness and spirituality has made me more creative and it's made me happier.
Wonderful.
In general.
And so for parents and individuals who are watching this is a wonderful thing, Friendship Circle.
Unbelievable.
How do people participate?
I'll tell you how, because I'm a parent.
Yes.
And Rabbi Zushi's sister-in-law runs the Valley Friendship Circle.
Okay.
So as a parent, I called Hani, who's here in the Valley, and in Studio City, Chabad, and I said, I have 2 kids on the spectrum, and she was excited, and she said, okay, you sign up online. I'm at www.friendshipcirclefcpalisades.com.
Okay.
She does a questionnaire of what you're looking for, what is your child like, so she can better connect you with the appropriate teen. So then she has a follow-up call. We would call you and we would chat and we would have an actual in-home visit so I could meet your child and really I want to get as personal with the parents as possible so I know what would be the perfect match for them.
Okay.
But again, we're not going to do just the Friends at Home program. I have dreams of grandeur, and
I love it.
And I want to have at least 2. We're going to have my daughter Aviva, who's a professional artist. She's going to be teaching a painting class to the kids once a month. We're going to have a mom support group and a spiritual component to a mom support group. Matt is going to, whether he likes it or not, he's going to teach a dad support group within the Friendship Circle.
I'm going to guess he's going to like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So I know people are going to ask me, if they haven't already, that they're going to want to know, do I have to be Jewish to participate?
We are welcoming all and every special needs family into our environment, and we want to help everyone who wants to be a part of our Friendship Circle, and we will help everyone if we can. Our main consideration is area. There's Friendship Circles all over.
Okay.
So we are in Pacific Palisades. So our programs, and when we have our summer program and our teen programs and our once-a-month program, that would be appropriate for everyone, but it would be better, I would think, if you're in an area parent. I don't want to tell somebody to trek out for their Friends at Home program.
But when you say that it's everywhere, are we talking about everywhere in California? Or
yeah,
is this national?
there's a Friendship Circle in Redondo Beach.
Okay.
There's a Friendship Circle in Pico Robertson area, which is primarily Orthodox community, and Hani in the Valley, who is very inclusive and takes all denominations of faith.
I have to say, what a wonderful, wonderful
It's
thing.
incredible. It's the most wonderful. I mean, as a parent, I wish, you know, I've been in the Valley for a decade. I wish I had known about it sooner when Eddie was little and he was tantruming 24 hours a day and not sleeping, and I would have given anything for that 1 hour of respite a week. And the Judaic component for me would have been important. I just want to say also on Sunday, within Hanukkah, it's Hanukkah now, Chag Sameach. On Sunday, we're going to have a free program. Welcome to anyone who wants to come. You just have to RSVP.
Okay.
And it's at our facility in the Pacific Palisades.
We have a flyer that we can bring up to show as well.
Yes,
and so at this event, there's the flyer, beautiful, beautiful flyer. At this event that anybody can attend, what kinds of things will be happening?
We're going to be doing arts and crafts, and we're going to be doing, you know, Hanukkah-related arts and crafts. Aviva is going to be painting faces, latkes, sufganiyot donuts, you know, lack of a better word, music, dancing.
It sounds like a really good time.
Yeah, and some of the existing families meeting the new families and kids, and everyone's welcome.
Absolutely love that. Now, I want to take a short break, but then when we come back, we want to start to talk about Hanukkah a little bit, because we've spent time talking about the holidays in general in terms of how to cope with holidays with autism, but we haven't talked specifically about some of the challenges that will come with Hanukkah and some of the ways to celebrate. So the rabbi is here, and we're going to take a break, and we'll bring him in, and we're going to bring our Hanukkah.
Yes.
All right, so stick with us.
Nick was diagnosed with autism in 1994 at the age of 4. He received 5 years of therapy from CARD that eventually faded out. Nick recovered from autism in 2001.
The song I'm about to perform is by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. CARD helped many patients, myself, to recover to this level now.
Cheryl and Mike's son, Jack Riley, was diagnosed with autism in 2010 at age 2. He's been receiving therapy from CARD for a 1.5 years. Today, Cheryl, Mike, and Nick meet for the first time.
I'm curious as to what you remember.
I certainly remember pretty long sessions, and I'd be frustrated if I would make mistakes. I mean, I remember one time I had to count a row of 6 blocks, kept messing up. That was really difficult.
No. I need it. I need it.
At what point do you recall hearing the word autism?
I was able to figure out what I was going through without anybody having to tell me.
Our concern is if it's a big secret to hide. I don't know what we can say.
No one ever told you, you just discerned
But the reason I'm comfortable talking about this is because I felt it. In therapy, I certainly began questioning why people reacted as they did based on what I said and did. Particularly because of difficulties I was facing in school. It got to a point where I wanted to understand why it was. I entered while still going through therapy and still showing significant signs of the mental condition. Even after I'd improved to a significant extent, there were those who still gave me a hard time for it.
Did it hurt your feelings when you were in school, the way that kids...
Oh, absolutely, because it was bullying, it was harassment.
That scares us.
They called me names. I was basically, when it came to sports and PE, I was usually the last kid chosen.
Did teachers intervene?
Fortunately, not really. I mean, it was just so hard for me to talk about it because of how ashamed I felt. Certainly the first few years of elementary school, I don't think I really had the most supportive teachers. I mean, I remember my mom told me how my first grade teacher once said that she thought I had no chance of getting anywhere. And going away to college and out of state and being the only person from my old school district has made a difference. It's just really improved my social life tremendously because I got to be me, because with nobody knowing about my past, I wasn't faced with these misconceptions and prejudgments.
Do you tell people, new people that you meet?
No, that's not the first thing I will ever
No, I would
tell.
hope it's not the first thing.
And you know what? In most cases, I never do, because while it's a part of my past, it doesn't define who I am. I mean, just thinking back to the very beginning, pretty much each episode, autism, what, not who.
I want to tell you right now, though, I'm so impressed with you.
Likewise.
I want you to know that.
Likewise. I mean, your son really inspires me just as much because I'll tell you anytime.
I adore him, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't challenging.
I mean,
it's cost me the stuff that like career things, goals. I don't care about those anymore. I work at night. I'm tending bar. Not that I'm too good for that. I'm just saying that's what I do. I want him to have a chance.
Right.
And you inspire me now.
Thank you. The feeling goes both ways. The feeling's mutual.
Before you leave today, we would like you to meet Jack.
I would love to.
This is Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Jack Riley.
All right, should we try this? I'm gonna try to take a picture of all of you. 1, 2, and 3.
Jack Riley, you rock.
Here we go. Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here again with Nava Paskowitz, but we are also being joined by Rabbi Zushi Kunin. Did I get it right?
You did.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited to have you both here. We were saying during the break, I was saying that as a non-Jew with a child on the autism spectrum, I have been struck again and again and again by the generosity and the consideration of the Jewish community towards our special needs kids, and how touched I am by it, how inspirational I think it is, and how I think you as a community have laid down a path for all of us to follow, that we should all be on. I mentioned that we, at a time of great need, got a loan from the Jewish Free Loan Association when I don't know what we would have done had it not been for that. And we've had people from Bet Zedek on the show talking about the wonderful legal services that they provide for all kinds of things to everyone. And I am always stunned by, and as I asked you in the last segment when talking about this friendship circle, do you have to be of the Jewish faith to participate? And I was not surprised at all now, but I would have been surprised a couple of years ago, your immediate response of no, this is for everyone. So Rabbi Kunin, please tell us what you think is the answer to my question of why is the Jewish community doing it so much better?
You know, I'm not the judge, but I will tell you, at the core of our values and our spiritual guidance is to be there for another. You know, if you want to have a relationship with your Creator and with God the Almighty, it's about caring and loving unconditionally for others. And whatever is needed, you know. So sometimes it's someone who's hungry and they need a sandwich. And sometimes it's an addict who needs counseling and support. But it's also about whatever is needed. And right now we have so many families who are on the spectrum who feel alone. They don't, their children don't have the friends that their peers have. They don't feel comfortable talking about their issues with their friends who they went to college with, or even their family, because it's such a big, big pain and a source of difficulty and challenge. Yet they know what a blessing it is. You know, it's a big blessing and a treasure. And the mission of the Jewish community is to, first of all, reinforce the idea that every child is an absolute treasure. It's an extension of God's presence in this world. And just because they have different ways of seeing the world, it doesn't mean it's less. It's different and it's wonderful. There's so much light and beauty, and all you have to do is just interview any one of the parents, and you know that more than anybody else, that the light is present in every single soul that comes to this world. So now it's our job, right?
I told you,
Yeah.
I know, he's amazing.
But that's our job. So what's our job as a community, as a family, is how do we inspire, first of all, the youth to say that if I'm going to spend my volunteer hours, it's going to be helping these special souls.
Exactly.
You know, how do we take these teens who are in a selfish mode, like me,
Jaded,
right?
And
teens, yeah,
and
exactly.
and now say I'm going to give 1 hour a week to a friend, And you know what we found? And we're one of 150 chapters worldwide, you know, of the Friendship Circle. We found that it not only brings such value to the child who's at home, but to the teen who's volunteering. It's not just that they're doing a public service. Their life has now become transformed. They've found how valuable they are and how much they mean to someone. Wonderful. And it becomes that 1 hour that they look forward to all week, even though it's not going to play basketball or football or hockey or whatever with their friends. It's just doing something very different, and it becomes a focal point in their life.
And I imagine the trajectory for those kids is far different than kids who aren't participating in that kind of a program.
100%. You know, we had a little gathering the other night. Nava, you know, brought some of the families together, and there was one mom was talking about her child's friend, who's now become a professional tennis player and travels all around the world. And whenever he's back in LA, he makes a point of coming to visit his special friend.
Wonderful.
So here he is. He
Lifelong connection.
So he found his success. He's a professional tennis player, but no matter what, when he comes back to LA, he has to see his friend.
That's lovely.
So it just shows how deep this relationship and connection becomes. I have another student at Columbia University. And she when she first started, she was in high school. She wrote an article about, you know, her friend in the Friendship Circle, and now she's always emailing, you know, how's everything going? How's the Friendship Circle doing? Her younger brother is now volunteering. You know, so we see that what it does is it really helps mold character. You know?
And so how do you identify these kids and get them excited? You were saying, you know, how do you do that? I'm hearing some ABA here. You've got to make it reinforcing for them at some point, so to get them started.
And you don't want, you know, you and I both know when an autistic kid gets, you know, emotionally attached to somebody.
Yes.
And you have a kid, if they're flighty, we can't count on them, that kid is we're gonna deal with that tantrum if that kid is not gonna be front and center.
Right.
So my job is to really know this is a wonderful family behind this kid. The parents are encouraging that teenager and the teenager knows.
They have to be counted on.
Yeah, and they're going to be accountable by their family. So we are looking for, you know, kids that we know are going to be a good match, and it's going to be hopefully a long-term commitment. And that's he inspires me, and I have to inspire, you know, these children. It's my job to inspire the teens.
And do they get some training too?
Yes,
absolutely. We have a training seminar with them before they go in home, and Hani always has 2 children, and so we're just beginning to figure out what is the best. It depends. It depends.
It really does. So the great news is, because there are 150 chapters worldwide, we have so many models that we can learn from, and we're continuing to do that. And we've been doing this for a number of years. And you know, Nava has an advantage over many of the other individuals who work the program, in that she's been in every part of the program. She has her own children, and she's run a programming for teenagers independently of this. And of course, with her wonderful husband Matt, they're very involved in the whole community, and we found that this is taking our chapter to the next level. You know, it takes a village. You know, it's a community, and it's a circle. And you know, of course, we got to create the programming that is attractive to the teenagers to want to initially devote this time to community service. And then we know that once they get involved in the work itself is the attraction. You know, so while we might put on many you know, events for teens where they're having a party or they're going on a trip, that's nice, but what keeps them is that they really feel inspired and connected to this, what we call a mitzvah, this good deed. Because Otherwise, we're in LA. Anybody can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So whatever programming you're going to try to attract them to, it's only that good. But when it's attracted to their soul, when there's something that's connecting to who they are and what they're all about, and it gives them their own self-value, then we have a winner. And that's what we found throughout the globe in the Friendship Circle, that the success is that when they're connected to something that's very meaningful, and that's the most meaningful. Well, it turns out it becomes one of the most meaningful things that they do in their whole year.
Right.
Or in a life.
And we're starting a whole new generation of awareness. You know what I mean? These empathetic teens that would have been, playing on their iPhone. Now these kids are going out into the world and bringing this newfound acceptance, awareness, empathy, and, they're going to be the ambassadors.
It's what we all need. I think we're all clear on that. I'd like to take a short break and bring Matt in.
Yes.
We're going to crowd the studio a little bit, but and we've got some gold coins. Do you have a dreidel?
Yes, dreidel. We need a dreidel.
I know.
Okay, I'll spin the gold coin.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit about Hanukkah and some considerations for Hanukkah. So stick with us.
Okay.
Skills is an online program that provides assessment, curriculum, positive behavior support planning for challenging behavior, and progress tracking, and it does this all in one place. The skills assessment and curriculum addresses 8 areas of development, which even includes advanced higher level areas such as executive functions and cognition, which pretty much makes skills the only ABA-based set of curricula for teaching more complex skills, things like problem solving, planning, self-management, perspective taking, and even inferring and predicting others' private events. Skills is a 4-step system. Step 1 is to add the child to your account. Step 2 is to start assessment. The skills assessment is the only ABA-based assessment with psychometric research demonstrating the language subscale to have excellent reliability. Every area of human functioning and typical child development from infancy to adolescence was researched, making the skills assessment the most comprehensive of its kind in the world, and we're quite proud of that.
Skills is easy to use. Simply click Start Assessment and begin answering questions. Or simply type in a keyword, find specific activities to assess, and add activities to treatment. Step 3. Choose activities. Once you've completed the assessment, Skills selects from a pool of 4,000 activities categorized by age, level, and skill type to provide you with exactly those activities each child needs. Start by choosing a curriculum, then a lesson, and finally an activity. Click the information icon to view prerequisites, ages in which targets develop, examples, and IEP goals. Click the video icon to watch a short video. Once you've identified an activity you want to teach, adding activities to treatment is a snap. Step 4. Start treatment. Here you can access customizable activity lesson details, add your own customized targets and exemplars, and edit an activity status such as introducing or mastering it. You can even print handouts such as worksheets, tracking forms, visual aids, and other materials. Skills also offers multiple progress charts mapping curriculum progress, lesson progress, and cumulative number of activities and targets mastered over time. The Skills language curriculum is categorized by verbal behavior type so that users can identify progress for verbal operants, such as echoics, mans, tax, and interverbals.
Skills is one of the only programs that provides the ability to write behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, for challenging behavior.
With just a few clicks, the outline of the behavior intervention plan is written for you and ready to be printed and implemented.
You can learn more about Skills today and get started by visiting us at www.skillsforautism.com, or you can call us at 877-975-4559. Skills. Progress starts here.
Welcome back. We have a full house here. Lovely, lovely guests. We have Nava Paskowitz with us. Nava Paskowitz-Asner. Are you hyphenating?
I am.
Oh, I love that. And then we have her newly wedded husband, Matt Asner, is with us, and Rabbi Zushi Kuni. Kunin. I was so close.
Very
I was
close.
So close.
You were great.
But in any case, thrilled that we're here. You guys promised to bring the Hanukkah. You've got gold coins here. Now, for people who don't know about dreidels and coins, talk to us about what the traditions for Hanukkah are and what the symbolism is. It's a beautiful story.
The most important idea of Hanukkah is the menorah, the candelabra. Here's a nice picture of the menorah. Can you see that?
I think we're kind of far
We're
from the
far.
camera. But
It's okay.
I think most people know what a menorah is.
Yeah, we know what a
You
menorah
should
is.
know what a menorah
By now,
is.
and you should see
I should have
them
brought one.
in public. There are many big menorahs. One of the largest menorahs is the Capitol menorah in front of the White House. And the menorah is about lighting the candles, but bringing the light to the world. You know, and while there's a physical menorah, each of us ought to look at ourselves as a menorah. There's a lot of darkness in this world. But you know, with one candle, we take away a lot of darkness. And each of us has the idea of a menorah inside us. And we should know that we have an intrinsic value. We each have a soul that is an extension of God's infinite power that can do so much. And we have to look at ourselves that way. And we have to not just keep it to ourselves, but share it with the world. Be a light to the world. And the message of Hanukkah was that they tried to stop this whole tradition of lighting the menorah in the temple. And the Maccabees were successful on overthrowing the regime that tried to oppress the religious freedoms of the time. And the symbol was the menorah, because they even took away all the kosher oil to be able to light the menorah, and miraculously they found one jug of oil that was kosher, and it lasted, instead of for 1 day, for 8 days. But really the idea is that they prevailed. They were able to go ahead and light that menorah. And that's the way we have to look at ourselves, that there's so many obstacles in our life. There's so many headaches. And especially, you know, people on the spectrum, just starting the day is a headache. Yeah. And there's just so much that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But we have to say, no, I'm not going to get trapped by those ideas, because I am a menorah. Yeah. I need to light this world, and I need to do something. I have a role to play. I have something to do. I have a job to do. And it's so important and so needed. And so once a year, we take this whole week and we light the menorah every day, because it reminds us that the whole year we ought to keep lighting the menorah.
Right, love that.
And we add a candle every night. Because in life, when we're alive, we're always growing. We're going from strength to strength. We're not just staying the same as we were yesterday. We're increasing. We're sharing another light.
And I love this story and I relate to it so much as an autism parent, because I know you guys know this too. When you're an autism parent and they say, okay, you know, this is what you have to do, and this is what you have to overcome, and this is how much money you have, there is no way the math adds up, ever.
Never adds up.
It could never. And I remember on the first day somebody saying to me, okay, so this is what you have to do, and it's going to cost you this, and it's going to do all this. And if I had made the decision to listen to the equation of what it was going to take, I would have laid down and stopped and never done anything. Sure. But we decided to go ahead and do what we could. And my husband and I always marvel when we look back and go, how on earth did we do what we did? The math does not add up.
Autism parents are the greatest improvisers in the world.
You know, and that sense of, you know, I think of that as, you know, the oil, how long it lasted, it should not have. It couldn't. Right. It couldn't. And the miracle of that, and the miracle that, you know, the miracles that abound in our lives when we put forth the energy and, as you said, and be the light, what can happen?
Absolutely. Because if you give in to your darkness, your kids feel that. It's our responsibility, you know, to say, this is what we have, and how can we bring light to the children? Because they feel when you let the darkness, you know, creep in, they feel it. You know, you have to be strong. It's different with the mother. You have to do this for your children. And an autism mother, there's nothing like anything. I mean, that's the true
You don't want to get in a knife fight with us.
You don't.
There's an amazing formula from the Kabbalah that you inspire me to think about, and that is, the Kabbalah says a very simple but powerful statement. How can I make it happen? You know, how can I sustain myself with all these trials and tribulations? And the Kabbalah says, think about this. The miracle of life. If God could create life, God can surely sustain life. And if we have to remind ourselves that if we are alive and our child is alive, somehow we're going to figure it out and we're going to go forward. Of course, it's easy to say, but then there's the details. Yeah. But it starts with that firm faith that if I'm here, I'm going to be okay. It's going to happen,
So tell us a little bit about, so that's what the basis of it all is, and I think it's important to know all that. But then there are the traditions and the things that the kids participate in, and the dreidels and the coins. So for our viewers that have no idea what you do with a dreidel and what you do with a coin, tell us so that they can maybe participate with their children.
Okay, so since we're going to have to imagine the dreidel, but one of the things you do with a dreidel, oh my gosh, and I was spinning it before. Oh, I got it. Hold on, you got it? There you go. We spin the dreidel. Now, you got to Google dreidel. You'll see a whole bunch of pictures of the dreidel. The dreidel was a secret formula of how they taught the Jewish alphabet through a game. Okay. Isn't that amazing? Thousands of years ago, they figured out the best way to teach kids sometimes is through a game.
It was an early
So here we are today, right? So here we are. And here we are today. We know that to be true with the billions and billions of dollars worth of app money going into the technology of creating games. And we know most of the kids now are not on the news every afternoon, and they're on their games. So there was this game that they created. But the reason why they created the game was not only to teach the kids, but was also because it was meant to secretly teach because they were being oppressed and not allowed to teach. So there was a game where you spin the dreidel, and they had coins there, and it was kind of like this game where you win more, you lose, depending on which letter it landed on. So that created the tradition of playing the dreidel and having the coins, and now we've commercialized it as we do wonderfully in the United States of America. We created chocolate coins, coins, and
so they're edible and gone.
An absolute tradition. You must have the chocolate coins.
Right. And we eat oily food, so to speak.
Yes,
the latkes.
Well, that's why I came here.
You were going to be
latkes? Zushi was bringing latkes.
Latkes and donuts. So latkes latkes and donuts were two traditions all about the oil, like Nava was mentioning, because of the miracle of the oil. So like in different countries, so like in Eastern Europe, it's all about potatoes. So they had these potato pancakes that they would fry in oil, and then in a lot of the other regions in the Middle East and so on, they would create these donuts, which called sufganiyot. Now we have them both, right? So, and they're all, of course, calorie-free. Yes.
Calby's telling me we're totally out of time, but I thank you all. The happiest Hanukkah to all of you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And we'll be back on January 7th. Until then, happy holidays to everyone. Give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.
God bless you. Thank you.